If, late one night, you dream of someone attractive, with a charming personality and a shared sense of aesthetics, would you choose to fall into a sweet romance with them? Today's story comes from a netizen who goes by the name Bella. It tells of a strange and true experience they had during college. To help everyone better understand, I'll recount the story from a first-person perspective. In 2015, I was studying at a university. It was the first semester of my sophomore year, and it happened to be during the May Day holiday. My cousin John came to pick me up and drive me home. My hometown is in a county-level city, and the drive took a little over 3 hours. After chatting briefly with my sister-in-law in the back seat, we each started playing on our phones. Just as I was immersed in a mobile game, an ominous feeling suddenly arose in my heart. The moment I looked up, my sister-in-law and I screamed simultaneously. The road was slippery and the car was going too fast. We lost control and crashed into the highway barrier. Other than some minor scrapes on our legs, my sister-in-law and I weren't seriously hurt. There wasn't even much bleeding. But my cousin John wasn't as lucky. Shattered glass from the window had cut his face and body, and the impact fractured his left arm. Together, my sister-in-law and I called an ambulance, and we were taken to the nearest hospital off the highway exit. I don't remember the name of the hospital anymore. All I can recall is that it was small, and the facilities looked a bit outdated. After John was taken into surgery, we waited on a bench outside the operating room. I felt an unexplainable tightness in my chest, so I decided to step outside for some air. As I reached the hospital entrance, I noticed a mobile hospital bed near the door. Lying on it was a boy who looked about my age. He was tall and slim, with fair skin and his eyes closed. What struck me most was how strange the whole scene felt. He was completely unattended, with no doctors or family around, as if he had been abandoned. I couldn't even tell if he was unconscious or already dead. At that moment, it was just the two of us standing at the hospital entrance. Curiosity got the better of me, and I found myself staring at him in a daze. Then suddenly, the boy opened his eyes. Our eyes met, and in that instant, I was overwhelmed by an indescribable feeling, a mix of shock and fear. Without thinking, I turned and ran back into the hospital, straight to the operating room where my sister-in-law was waiting. Took a while before I could calm myself down. That accident completely ruined what was supposed to be a pleasant holiday. But things took an even darker turn once I returned to school. I began to experience sleep paralysis. I still remember the first time it happened. Our dorm had a bunk bed design with the bed on top and a desk underneath. That night, it was already very late, and I hadn't planned to sleep. I just wanted to lie down for a bit. But as soon as I closed my eyes, I realized I could no longer open them. My entire body was paralyzed. Although my mind was fully awake, I couldn't figure out what was happening. In the end, all I could do was helplessly drift off. The second episode of sleep paralysis occurred much the same way, right as I was closing my eyes. Suddenly, I felt as though someone had crawled up from under my bed. At first, I assumed it was one of my roommates playing a prank. I was ready to scold them, but then I realized I couldn't move or even speak. The next morning, I asked my roommates if any of them had climbed onto my bed during the night, but they all denied it. Hearing their responses, I started to wonder if maybe I was just overworked or under too much stress. But then I noticed something strange. No matter the time, the moment I lay down and closed my eyes, even if I had no intention of sleeping, I would involuntarily drift off. Eventually, I began to fear sleep itself. Even during the day when my roommates took afternoon naps, I didn't dare to join them. At night, after everyone else had fallen asleep, I would pace around the room, too afraid to get into bed. I tried to convince myself there was no real danger. I didn't believe in anything superstitious, and I thought maybe it was just a harmless symptom. Over time, I slowly got used to it. Eventually, the episodes faded, though I'm not sure exactly when they stopped. That was until the summer of 2016, during my third year of college, when my parents and I moved into a new home, a small duplex with 2 floors combined into one. My parents stayed downstairs, and I had the upstairs to myself. At first, everything seemed fine, but one day, a strange sense of unease crept in. Every night, I felt as though something or someone was watching me from a dark corner of the room. The fear made it nearly impossible to sleep alone. I was too embarrassed to sleep with my parents, so I began leaving the curtains drawn and the lights on. Yet, for several nights in a row, I would wake up in the morning to find the lights turned off and the curtains wide open. My first thought was that my mom must have come upstairs during the night to turn everything off. But when I asked her, she looked genuinely confused and told me she hadn't been upstairs at all. She didn't even know I'd been sleeping with the lights on. When she found out, she teased me mercilessly for being scared. Around that same time, I started having long, emotionally intense dreams, almost like watching a serialized drama. I would fall right back into the same dream. In those dreams, I had a boyfriend. He was tall and slim, with short hair and very fair skin. We were deeply in love. We'd go shopping, eat together, and enjoy countless tender, everyday moments. The happiness I felt in those dreams lingered long after I woke up. I even began to wish I could keep dreaming, just to experience that joy again. Although I'd been in real relationships before, nothing compared to the feeling I had in those dreams. Then one night, he proposed to me and invited me to his home to meet his parents. As soon as I heard the word marriage, something inside me resisted. I truly liked him, but I just didn't want to get married so soon. It wasn't about love. I simply felt a strong, instinctive aversion to the idea of marriage. The inner conflict filled me with anxiety and confusion. A voice deep inside kept urging me not to go through with it. After wrestling with my emotions for a long time, I finally told him the truth. I'm sorry, but I'm not ready to get married yet. He sighed softly and replied gently, all right. And when I woke up, I was filled with a strange, inexplicable joy. From that day on, I never dreamed of him again. But something inside me began to change. My once cheerful and outgoing personality gradually faded. I became quiet, gloomy, and withdrawn. Nothing excited me anymore. Sometimes, out of nowhere, I'd catch myself thinking, life is so boring, or wondering, what's the point of living? These dark thoughts would creep in without warning, and I didn't understand why I was feeling this way. There had been no major setbacks in my life, no traumatic experiences. Desperate for answers, I turned to the internet in hopes of finding a way to shift my emotions. I came across countless suggestions. Some recommended listening to Buddhist chants for spiritual cleansing. Others suggested upbeat music to improve my mood. I even reached out to self-proclaimed masters online. Eventually, I confided in my sister-in-law. After listening carefully to everything I had experienced, she immediately said it sounded like I was being haunted by something. She told me, practiced spiritual readings and had helped others with similar situations before. That same day, she brought me to her aunt's house to see if she could uncover what was really going on. When we arrived, her aunt examined me quietly, looking me up and down before closing her eyes and chanting something softly under her breath. After a while, she opened her eyes and said that I had a peach blossom curse attached to my fate. She asked if I had encountered anything strange or unexplainable recently. That's when the memory came back, the highway car accident, and more specifically, the boy I saw lying on the hospital bed near the entrance. I told her everything, from the accident to the dreams of the boyfriend who had seemed so real. After hearing the full story, she told me that the boy I had dreamed about was likely the same one I saw at the hospital. Ever since that moment, she explained, he had spiritually latched onto me. And when I rejected him in the dream, when I refused to marry him, I had unknowingly severed a spiritual bond, which drained my energy and motivation in the real world. To help me, her aunt gave me a talisman. She warned me never to take it off. I put it on immediately and wore it all the time, even in the shower. Strangely enough, once I started wearing the talisman, all the unsettling experiences stopped. The weight that had been pressing down on me, the constant sadness and confusion, gradually lifted. Bit by bit, I returned to my old self. Life started to feel light and meaningful once more. Looking back now, I still get chills thinking about everything that happened. But more than anything, I'm grateful I didn't do anything irreversible during that dark time.